On the other end of the panel, I do want to just broach the question, which I'm very surprised hasn't come up most of the day, which is a good chunk of the country is mired in a conflict, albeit something of a frozen conflict. What impact do you think this has on investment in Ukraine? Obviously, the situation is very different if you're looking at Lviv compared to looking at the Donbas. There are lots of different economies within Ukraine. No one has sort of mentioned the rather obvious point that has created uncertainty on the ground. I mean, Timothy, is this something that you think weighs strongly in your calculations or not so much?
It's clearly a factor, the relationship with Russia. It would certainly help the investment case if there was some kind of normalization in terms of the relationship with Russia. And obviously, it is a hot conflict. There is a continuing conflict. And as we saw earlier in the year with re-escalation and then blockade, it can be damaging at particular points along the border, and it can have impacts in terms of the real economy. But in the end, I think the level of intensity of the conflict in the east is manageable for the broader Ukrainian macro. And in a way, I think it's no excuse for policymakers in Ukraine now. In fact, I would argue, I mean, if you think about it, the global environment around Ukraine is pretty favorable. Very cheap financing, reflected in the Eurobond issue. For whatever reason, Putin has decided to take something of a step back in terms of the East. Ukraine has this window of opportunity to implement reform and drive ahead to make the country much more durable, because I think inevitably, or my view anyway, is Putin is not finished with Ukraine. There will be further pressure points between the relationship between Russia and Ukraine needs to build up its economic and military defenses. And I think messing around with these structural reforms that are not rocket science, that are obvious, that need to be done, that have been talked about for years, I think there's no excuse for policymakers. Why are you messing around on pension reform, land reform, anti-corruption, business environment? Get it done, move on, because you will be tested in the future.